control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere. Watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. We the people have taken over. We the people are little brother, standing by to dethrone each other, watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon, desensitized in our lust for attention, democratized by our voyeur obsessions, watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection, don't let them project you as you are. Reveal your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere.
let your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Yo. Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight I am your host, Dave Scott, and thank you so much for listening in at spacedoutradio.com and on Spreaker. As once again we come in from the frozen Canadian tundra, battle our way past the wild animals, sidestep Bigfoot, and enter Uncle Jimbo's cabin, stoke the fire, heat this place up, and broadcast you live on this Thursday night, early Friday morning if you're on the East Coast. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we do this thing 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. Why? Well, we get a lot of that. It's because we want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the ufological, extraterrestrial, supernatural, paranormal, and so much more. Spaced Out Radio's theme music is provided by the former Guns N' Roses guitarist, Ron Bumblefoot THAL. The big man's a fan of this show. You can find Bumblefoot's album, Little Brother Is Watching, by going to our website, spacedoutradio.com. If you're a social media junkie like I am, you can follow us on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website, which will have a new look very, very soon. Like, I'm hoping by the end of the weekend, is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we welcome in our fans listening in on the SHR Media Network, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with Facebook pages, Euphoria Chronicles, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship, the SOR Space Travelers, as well as online at Paranormal Forum. If you're a fan of Spaced Out Radio, coming soon with our new look website is the Space Travelers membership, where for only $5 a month, you can win prizes, get a monthly newsletter, take part in private group interviews, special section on our website, and so much more. Hey, we're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. Tonight's show is brought to you by the iTunes app Spirit Story Box. It's the official ghost hunting app of Spaced Out Radio. The New Agora newspaper is the official newspaper of this show. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul, and Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or at a distance. Tonight on Spaced Out Radio, we have another interview in our series of guests taking part in the Alien Cosmic Expo next week in Brantford, Ontario. The event is about people's experiences with extraterrestrials and about hot topic election coverage in the United States, which Hillary has brought up due to ET disclosure. You may have heard our guest voice on Spaced Out Radio before. Barry Strohm is an accomplished author, owner of an antique store in Pennsylvania, but maybe not for much longer. Barry is also a channeler using a spirit board to communicate messages from the other side. Now, you may be interested to know that the spirit Barry communicates with is an extraterrestrial spirit. The alien spirit, named Mu, MOU, has given Barry all sorts of information regarding life outside of this planet and what's happening here on Earth. You see, Moo is an old soul. He's a wise entity who is straightforward in his questioning and answers, and will give answers to some of the most difficult questions if he feels we are ready for it. We're going to see from Barry tonight if Moo wants to make an appearance, as he did the previous time Mr. Strohm was on the show. We bring in Barry Strohm, and in the background, his wife Connie is hanging out as well. Barry, Connie, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. How are you tonight?
We are in incredibly good shape for tonight.
Evening, Dave and
No.
listeners.
It's good to hear from both of you, and hopefully Moo as well tonight, as you guys have your antique store up for sale in Pennsylvania. I'm kind of sad by this because this is a very haunted place. It's got its own little paranormal history that you've set up there.
It's almost beyond haunted. We've been here 28 years, and we have a lot of friends, both living and past, and we've explained all the ghosts here that when we go back to our home in Park City, they're more than welcome to join us back there. We treat them like old friends because that's what they are. And when we go home, we have a lot of the same spirits are with us back in Salt Lake area that visit with us here. So they don't have to buy an airline ticket. It's a lot easier for them.
So, am I assuming then that you will advertise the antique store as not haunted, since you're taking your ghost friends with you?
Well, some of them are going to stay. We had in a challenge session one night, this place used to be a shoe factory, dated 1877, and one night we started channeling the employees that were still here. We actually talked to 8 different employees that worked here while it was a shoe factory, and they keep coming back because they enjoyed it so much. So I suspect they'll stick with the building.
Well, you'll have to say goodbye to them. After 28 years, is a little bit, one of those happy, sad type moments, bittersweet?
Yeah, we're going to really miss the place, but it's time for us to go home. With the surgeries and things I had this year, it's time for us to get back to the Salt Lake area and try to do... Well, the guides told me I'm supposed to write 8 more books, so I'm not going to have much time for selling antiques in the future, and I'm getting old, so time to go home. Time to just kind of dedicate ourselves to what the guides want us to do and move on with the rest of our lives.
Absolutely, Barry. It's good to hear from you again. You're taking part in the Alien Cosmic Expo up in Brantford, Ontario next week. That's got to be pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, there's a really strong speaker list at this thing. Nick Pope, some of the big-time UFO people are there. I'm really anxious to talk, particularly I'm anxious to talk to him, because we've actually done channeling sessions with Moo speaking about Rendlesham Forest, which he lived through. I may actually be able to give him some information on what he saw up there. It's going to be a very, very interesting experience.
Well, you know what? It's one of those things when you have a conference like this and you get everybody involved the way that they have with Victor Vigiani, Bob Mitchell, and the crew going on there. It's really a plethora of information that is really going to be culminated in 72 hours or less. It's a heavy weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very heavy weekend. We'll have our own table there, and we're going to have the channeling board with us. So we will have the opportunity, and I've already talked to Moo, and he's planning on going up with us. So we'll have anybody that's there. I'm going to be able to converse and talk to, and maybe some of the guys can have some of the questions answered that they've been asking for many years. I'll be bringing a little bit different way of looking at the UFO situation to the conference. I doubt that there's going to be too many channeling boards sitting at the on those tables up there in Canada.
Do you like doing the conferences? Is it something that you find exhilarating and exciting to bring your level of reputation and your level of research to a crowd that may not be used to it?
I really enjoy it, because what we do is so far out there from what the normal ufologist does. And I mean, even when I started doing the research for my last book, I started to do research, get information, and approach it like a normal book until I found out that I could actually talk to the spirit of an alien myself. And that's a very, very unique concept. I mean, there are a lot of people that are experiencers, that have been abducted, that have been through different degrees of the UFO experience. But there's not many of us can pretty much do it on call. You know, it's a matter of sitting down, asking for him, and he has always been very friendly about coming through and letting us know. He is, I mean, we talked to him about disclosure, and he told me the other week that what we do is part of the disclosure process. That's, you know, part of our life plan, and that's why he is so he's so adamant about coming through on demand when we ask for him. And he will answer your questions, and I think the people up in Canada are going to have a real treat. They're going to have an opportunity that I don't think they've ever had before.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this goes off without a hitch, because there is so much action that is happening, you know, in North America. A lot of times we get caught up on what's happening in the United States regarding disclosure, regarding ufology, extraterrestrials. And for some reason, Canadians always think, well, it doesn't really happen in our backyard. But if you talk quietly and one-on-one with most Canadians, they'll say, you know what, I'm not sure if I really believe in this stuff, but, you know, there was that one time where I saw something in the sky I couldn't quite explain, or, you know, there was somebody in my house and I saw a shadow, but there was nobody there and all the doors were locked. They're very private about it, is what I'm trying to tell you. So opening up to a brand new audience that maybe doesn't know about you or the way you work your own research, it's going to be an eye-opener for a lot of people, Barry.
Yes, we approach it from such a different angle than most people. If the individuals up there are willing to open their minds and ask questions and kind of enjoy the experience, I think it can be an awful lot of fun.
I think so too. And, you know, what are you looking to get out of this? Are you going up there for just to kind of introduce yourself in the world to your research and Moo? Or are you going up there to be part of the disclosure of everything and really try to help the conference get its key pieces across, which was this needs to happen, it should happen, now we need to get government officials on it to make it happen?
No, it's definitely part of the disclosure process. What you have to understand is the way we live our lives, there are no coincidences. And for the details to be put together that I wind up being asked to speak at the conference, and the way the guides have worked in this, and Moo is a guide, so they've arranged all this. So I got the feeling that I'm like this tool that they're sending to Canada to try to give some messages, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I think you'll have a lot of fun there, and you know what, it's good people up there. I've got to meet quite a few people, not face-to-face, but over the phone, and somebody like Bob Mitchell, who has been so courteous to this show in helping us get a number of the speakers and guests who will be participating, such as yourself, at the Alien Cosmic Expo. I think it's phenomenal that, you know, he would trust a little old Canadian show rather than focusing in on the American popularity of these subjects. So I think you'll have a good time. Don't let anybody get to you about the Toronto Maple Leafs, because, you know, they will. You'll never see the conference if you get off the airplane and somebody is waving the Maple Leafs flag. It's just, it's a horrible thing. It's a disease that people in Toronto have and most of Ontario. So I'm saying that because I do know we have some Toronto Maple Leaf fans who listen to this show, and me being a lowly Vancouver Canucks fan, you know, it's something that we try to debate quite a bit on this show. But, you know, as the host, I always get to win. That's the beautiful part about it.
You know, hockey's such a new sport to you guys up there. I can understand there'd be a lot of that you have to discuss a lot of things.
Absolutely. Now, Barry, every time we bring you on the show, we do have new listeners coming in, maybe hearing you for the first time. Let's talk a little bit about your channeling. When did you get started working with the Spirit Board? How did that happen?
Well, my whole experience started basically with the ghosts here at the store, and we started out as a normal paranormal inspector, started to talk to them on the ghost box and do everything that normal paranormal investigators do. Our guides led us to a channeling technique. I had worked with mediums in the past, but all of a sudden we were led to these folks out in Salt Lake City that communicated with the other side using this special channeling board. It's a channeling board, has letters and numbers on it. Most people think of a Ouija board, but what we use is definitely not a Ouija. It has numbers and letters circular. We have a glass surface on it. We actually have a cup made of quartz. We lubricate it with plain old orange oil, and Connie and I will each put a finger on the cup, and it'll fly around and spell out messages for us. If anybody wants to learn about board channeling, probably the best way to do it is go to my website, spiritspredict.com, and I have a special page you can click to that explains board channeling, has a picture of the board, has our prayer of protection on it, and just explains how we get all these messages. At the current time, I think Connie and I have probably channeled more than 400 hours on this board. On the other side, we've never had any problems with it. We trust our prayers. We trust our faith in what in God and what we do on the other side. And where a lot of other people have all these doubts about using a channeling board, we have just had a wonderful opportunity, and the information we've gained has been absolutely phenomenal. By the beginning of next year, I'll have published 3 books on information written off of the board, and Moo and I are working on another one. We're about halfway through a very, very detailed alien book right now, and it's just a matter of sitting down and getting the information. It's a lot easier than doing research. You just ask your questions.
Was it something that you were jumping into with both feet? Because there are people out there who have a lot of reservations about spirit boards, about Ouija boards, or was this something that you just wanted to take on the challenge just to see what it was like and like the results and just continued on researching?
Well, the people that we learned from had been doing it for over 30 years out in Salt Lake City. And I watched them, and I could see no problems with it. They've never had, in all of their experiences, they've never had a hard time with it. And the way we were taught, it just seemed like the natural thing to do. That this is what the guides wanted for us. This is how they wanted to present us with information. And in my mind, it was just a natural process of how I was going to learn about all this. And we just jumped into it with both feet. And we take every opportunity we get on the channeling board. We've progressed to the point that we can actually communicate with animal souls now, and it's just incredible stuff coming through. It's not just aliens. We can do it with animals. We do it with souls on the other side. We do it with very high-ranking souls. We've channeled with apostles. My conspiracy book will be coming out in January. We have, in that book, it tells the story of the JFK assassination, where we actually did an interview with the president himself, and he told us who his killers were and who was behind it and all the information with the assassination. In that book, we actually tackle 26 different historical conspiracies. We do Billy the Kid, Butch Cassidy, George Patton, all of these spirits we've actually talked to in person, and it's just been an unbelievable path for Connie and I.
How do you vet the material that you get off of the spirit board? Do you look for confirmation? Like, how do you know you're getting the truth, Barry, from the spirit in regards to the information that they are providing?
Well, I always go into a session well planned. We have pages of questions that I make up. For instance, the night that we did President Kennedy, I had multiple pages of questions that I had researched on the internet. And when we started asking him questions to verify who he really was, the answers were coming back right off of the research that I had done. For instance, when I asked who actually fired the kill shot, he gave me a name that was in one of the conspiracy theories. And everything just absolutely lined up with all the research that I've done. So I had absolutely no reason to doubt what he was telling me. We always pose questions to them that are very, very difficult for them to answer. And they come up with the right answers, and off we go with the rest of the questions.
Galen is asking almost a similar question in the SOR Space Travelers, and that is, how are you sure the person you are talking to is actually that person?
To be honest, we always don't know that. Every once in a while, we will have another spirit slip in and try to impersonate the guide that we're talking to. And actually, they will try to mess with us and give us some bad information. I've reached a point now that I can feel energy changes. When the guides switch, I can actually feel that energy in my hands and arms. So if we're conducting an interview and all of a sudden I feel this energy change, I'll start to go back and re-question who we have and throw some different questions at them so that I can verify we still have the spirit that we're trying to talk to. So it's not an exact science. It's not a 100% thing. But the more and more that you do it, the more you do, you get a feel for when they're starting to play with you. It'll often happen at the end of a session when you're starting to get tired, when my energy gets less. As long as we have good energy flow, we can pretty much control who comes in. There are scammers over there. One of the first things that they ever told me when we started to use the board was you have to check for scammers, that they're on both sides of the veil, alive and dead. Just because the guy's a jackass when he dies doesn't mean he's not going to be a jackass on the other side. And these spirits will try to mislead you, and you have to be aware of what you're doing.
Okay, so how do you then check, or do you have a ritual, or how do you get the truth out of a spirit that is maybe giving you a little bit of a hard time or BSing you a little bit?
Well, we always start off with our prayer of protection. I'll read it for you. And this was actually given to us in a channeling session by the guides. This is how they want us to start every session, and this is how they want us to be able to protect ourselves. And here are the words of the guides in our prayer. It goes, God, please grant us your wisdom and protection. Grant us the knowledge that we can handle and keep us safe from all things that will harm us. Keep the messages positive and pure love. Keep us safe from our own ego. We ask these things in the light of the seen, the unseen, and the honesty of God. And we find that the guides will actually step in and protect us. We had a more evil spirit try to come in one night, and all of a sudden they just completely shut the session down. Everything just went totally dead, and we were finished for the night. So it's a matter of faith. You have to believe that you're protected. You have to believe in your own faith, and you have to believe in your guides. And if you do all that, you will be rewarded, and we feel very, very comfortable with what we do.
This brings up a good point with a comment made by Trippin in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. He's saying with Ouijas, he worries about them not turning off. And so how do you make sure that you've cleared your spirits? Say you have a negative entity on there or just a trickster type entity. How do you clear your board to make sure that it's not sticking to you or the house or mainly the board?
Well, first of all, we don't run into that a whole lot because of our faith and our prayers. But when we do, we ask our guides to please have the bad spirit leave. Take them back, and we tell them we want no part of them, and that they're supposed to, do whatever they do, but just leave us alone. And and you can always end it simply by lifting your fingers off the glass. If there's ever, they told us right in the beginning, if you ever have a doubt, simply take your fingers off of the glass and end the session at that point.
do you ever do little tests, like set up, okay, if this is, say, Joe on the other side, can you, do you have like a password or something that you use so you know it is that spirit? I know that may sound like a funny question to our listeners, but there is some reality that goes along with that to confirm who you are speaking to.
Yeah, we'll go into a session, as I say, with a whole bunch of different types of questions. And they'll bring different guides in to answer specific questions. They will actually know on the other side what I am trying to do. Last time we did a session, I asked who the guide was that was present, and the answer was a panel. They actually brought 10 or 12 different guides in to answer specific question areas that they knew I was going to be approaching during that session. I've had guides actually tell me the words of my prayers from the night before when I've asked for certain information. When one gets into this, you will realize just how amazing the spirit world is on the other side and what they know. When we were doing the session where we actually designed our spirit board, the guides were telling me where they wanted the letters and what they wanted to do. And the guides, and Moo was with us, and they said that they wanted me to make the glass removable so people could decorate their own board. And I'm sitting there with this stupid look on my face trying to figure out how I'm supposed to do that. And the guide comes in and spells out, "Don't look at me like that." So, I mean, those spirits are actually sitting here watching what we're doing. Once you really, really get into this, you will be blown away with what goes on the other side of the veil.
Barry, I'm going to get you to hold on here for a couple of minutes as we are going to take our first break of the night. When we come back, we're going to get more into Moo, how Barry got in touch with Moo, and more into channeling into the extraterrestrial realm. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this break.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Hi there. This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 Mediums and a Large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for, so join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost?
Look no further than Spaced Out Radio.
SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click on to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on radio
or our website, including social media.
From commercial spots to banners, we have it all.
Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Want to connect with us online? Find us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter, @Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. All right, space travelers, here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and thank you so much for joining in on the SHR Media Network, over in Paranormal Forum, on the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, and on Facebook at Forest Moon Paranormal, UFOria Chronicles, as well as our flagship SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you all with us tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, Don Allison will join us as we will be talking about paranormal. Let's get into some ghost talk to round out the Friday and the week here on SOR. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. And our website, which will have a new look, hopefully by the end of the weekend, is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we're talking with Barry Strohm. He is a familiar voice around these parts about his channeling expertise with an ET guide named Moo, M-O-U. Barry is also taking part in the Alien Cosmic Expo that happens next week, June 24th through the 26th in Brantford, Ontario. We've had a number of guests on who will be speaking at this event or taking part in it when it comes to disclosure, connection with extraterrestrials, and so much more. Barry, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio.
That's an honor to be back again.
I always love having time for you, my friend. You know that. It's always a good time when we have you on, and I know your wife Connie is in the background, and Moo is somewhere in space looking down on what we are doing tonight, so it's a pleasure.
We are all present and accounted for, yes.
I want to start off with a question, and I don't want to spend too much more time on how channeling works or anything like that, but we're going to get to one question from Galen in the SOR Space Travelers Room. When you started channeling, did you look into the history of it, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I tried to understand what was going on. Actually, board channeling was carried on by the ancients. I think the ancient Chinese started it. The Native Americans actually had a form of board channeling that they used. It didn't really become at the forefront until the spiritualist movements of the late Victorian times. Parker Brothers actually got the patent for the Ouija board and sold it as a toy. And that was kind of what really triggered things off. We did a convention in Baltimore last summer. It was called OuijaCon. It celebrated, I think it was the 100th anniversary of the Parker patent. And they had a display of a whole bunch of very early Ouija boards there. And it was very, very interesting. But it's an old technique. What we do is a little different because we do glass on glass, where a Ouija board is basically cardboard with a planchette with a felt bottom on it that slides over it. I think we've probably taken it the technology about as far as anybody has in the country. But it's a very, very early technique. It's not something that we just came up with.
And how often do you use it? Is it something that you do daily, or is it something that when you feel the need, you do it?
No, it's not something we do daily. Sometimes we'll do it multiple days. When quite often Connie and I will have a situation come up, and we'll say, well, let's ask the guides, and we'll go do it. I would think we probably, on an average, might do it every 3 days or so. Some days, sometimes it's a week. Sometimes we do it back to back. It all depends on the information that comes up.
Have you ever used a pendulum?
Oh, yeah. Connie is very, very good with a pendulum. She has a prior life brother that's with her all the time. His name's Bert. They can communicate anytime with a pendulum, and Bert specifically will not talk to us on the channeling board. The only way we're able to communicate with Bert is through Connie's pendulum, and he can answer very complex questions on a pendulum.
I tell you that because the other night, one of the people who was helping me out with this show, his name's Eric, him and I were on Skype. He lives about 3,500 miles away on the East Coast like you do. And he wasn't quite sure if the pendulum really works or not. He had one on his end. I had one on my end. And my pendulum seems to work for me pretty well. And one of my spirit guides, his name is Jordan, I had him going with us, so it was answering questions on Eric's pendulum and my pendulum at the same time. And so Eric was like, well, I'm not too sure if I'm shaking or not, or if I'm getting the same answers. I'm just not really sure. So I said, okay, let's try this out. I said, Jordan, can you make Eric's pendulum stop? And right on camera, I watched, and Eric watched his pendulum stop. And poor Eric, he was so shocked by this. His eyes, they grew at least 10 times in size, right? And it was so funny to watch because he was just like, holy crap. He goes, I did not expect that to happen. And I'm like, well, that's just kind of how it works. So there is something to the pendulum dowsing too, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. No, it's all good. I mean, there are people that, fake it. But when you're working with people that have the real abilities, yes, dowsing is great. Pendulum, it's all good. It's all good. The voice box or the ghost box. I've had some amazing sessions on a ghost box. We had Mo Howard of the Three Stooges come in one night on the ghost box, and I interviewed him verbally. And when I went back and edited the tape, I found I had 33 different answers from him on that tape, and actually wrote a chapter in my Afterlife book about it. So, no, it all works. It's amazing.
Eric has just posted in the SOR, or in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, he goes, I am sure now as to the comment is, yes, it does work. So he is still a little tripped out by that. Still a little tripped out. But you know what? It's something that, if you put belief into it and you put in a clear, conscious mind and you really want to see it work, it will work for you and you will get the results that you want, right?
Oh, yeah. And what's amazing is it can work long distance, just like 3,000 miles. We Skype with people thousands of miles away, and we get their guide. See, your soul and your guide's soul is all energy. So your guide has the ability to actually split his energy, so he can be with you in Vancouver and be with me here in Pennsylvania at the same time, and answer questions on both ends. It's the more you understand, the more incredible it gets.
A lot of people are wondering how you got in touch with Moo. I would love it if you took a couple of minutes just to explain how Moo came into your life.
Okay. I was always interested in aliens. Thought they existed. I come from a very strong scientific background. And you got to kind of prove things to me. So I decided I wanted to try to get some information from my regular guides about aliens. So I started asking my ordinary guides questions. Do aliens exist? Absolutely. How long have they been here since the beginning of time? And just general questions. And then all of a sudden, one night, we're channeling, and the guide says, we are going to introduce you to another spirit to answer your questions. He will be able to answer them for you because he is one. I said, is one what? And he said, is an alien spirit. I went, okay. I said, are you telling me I'm going to be abducted? And they said, no, you won't go for a trip. So the next channeling session, now we're sitting in Pennsylvania, and the board is with our friends in Salt Lake City. And all of a sudden, we start the session, and in comes Moo, and he starts to introduce himself. He starts to describe himself. Tells me he wants to work with me, that we're going to write books together, and I start asking questions, and he starts answering them. And it was just, the guide set it all up. I actually asked him one night, I said, was it your idea to come to me to write these books? And his answer was, no, it was your guide's idea, but they came to me and I thought it was a good one. So he's still here, and we're in the middle of another one, and he is taking us now into information that is so advanced, I am having a hard time understanding what he's telling me. Because we only have 5 senses, and they got a lot more. And sometimes we're talking about things now that are just over my head, and they're being very patient. But the next book is going to be very, very amazing with some of the stuff that's going to be in it.
How long did it take for you, Barry, to build a trust up with Moo that you were getting accurate and clear and concise information?
I had a lot of doubts the first time. With the very first session that I have with him, he informs me, he says, when you want to write, call me about an hour before, and I can actually get into your head. And if I don't like what you're writing, I'll make your nose itch, or I'll give you blurry vision. And I'm thinking, this is really freaking bizarre, So the next couple nights later, I decide I want to write the closing chapter for the Alien book that's out now. And I called for him, and I actually had the feeling that he was with me, because I'm getting now that I can tell spirit presence. And I started writing, and I blew out this closing chapter in like 3 hours. And I can't write that fast. Connie does all my proofing, so I say, here, you got to read this thing. And she looks at it and goes, man, your writing has really moved up a notch. I went, I'm not really too sure that it's me. So anyway, we're just blown away by the fact that I could write this chapter that fast. So next morning, we both woke up early, and we decided to go to this restaurant for breakfast. And we're sitting in this restaurant, and we're talking about how amazing this thing was, that I knew I'd had this spirit presence, and the words just came to me as fast as I could write them down. And all of a sudden, in the chair next to me, I see this blue flash of light. Now, bear in mind, Moo is a blue alien, standing about 9.5 feet tall. So I told Connie, I said, I think I just saw him. As weird as that seems, in the middle of a family restaurant in New Oxford, Pennsylvania, I just saw a freaking alien sitting in a chair next to me. So I'm going, I got to confirm this. So that night, I get my friends out in Salt Lake City on Skype. They have the board in Salt Lake. Connie and I are sitting here on Skype asking the questions. Now, they have absolutely no idea what's taken place. And I said, something's happened, and I need to try to get clarification. So we ask for our guide, and the message starts out, hello from the blue flash. Those people in Salt Lake had no idea that I'd seen this blue flash that morning. Solid verification of what had happened. He told me, starting right up front, that, yep, I showed myself to you. And then things just built on it. I started to really trust him. Then he came out, and I started to try to question how it was that we really could be talking to the spirit of an alien. And he explained to me that aliens have the same souls and same soul energy that humans have. And that actually he had reincarnated as a human a couple of 10,000 years ago and had been here on our planet for a while. He said that humans have the ability to reincarnate on other planets. If you want to be a blue alien, you can get in line and try to be a blue alien as part of your learning process. That that all souls are energy, all souls are the same, and all souls go to the same heaven. And in addition, all of the souls in this galaxy worship the same God that we do here on Earth. So we've been together now well over 100 hours, and we've discussed every conceivable subject that I can think of. And it's been an incredible journey, but he and I have a complete trust now, and I can feel when he's on the board with me, I can feel his energy level, and if somebody tries to mess with us, I can usually tell pretty fast.
Is Moo only in touch with you, Barry, or does he communicate with others on this planet?
No. Moo, believe it or not, is a member of our soul family. There's 3 of us that actually channel here. We have a girl that lives about 20 miles away named Donna. She's very talented, and her abilities are moving along. And Moo actually communicates mentally with Donna. When she and I are on the board, he comes in very, very strong, but he will often talk to her in her head while she's driving over here. So Moo communicates with Connie. He's given her messages, predicted things that were going to happen to her, and we're members of a soul family, believe it or not, and because of that, he freely communicates not only with me but with Donna and with Connie, and I'm sure with other people if we brought them into our sessions. As a matter of fact, I think he's communicated with you online one time. So
yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a couple questions coming in from the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook for you, Barry. We'll start off with James Borg's question. It's a 2-part question. Part 1 is, since you have an antique store, how many haunted objects do you have in your store?
Oh, man, tons. We have had objects that have actually had attachments where the spirits would talk to us. In my book Afterlife, I tell a story of an oil painting done about 1890, 1880 of a man. The spirit attachment's name was Joseph, and he didn't like it here in the store because of the music we played. One time I'm sitting up at the front counter, and this woman comes up and she says, I've got something back here that's talking to me, and I'd like to buy it. So, I mean, that's something we hear all the time, that antiques talk to people. Walked back, and I look at it, and here it's the picture of Joseph. I said, would you mind telling me exactly how he's talking to you? And she said, oh, well, I'm sensitive, and he told me that he doesn't like it here because of your music, and he wants to go home with me. And I want to buy him and take him home where he'll be happy. And she buys a $1,500 oil painting, takes it home, and we haven't heard from him since. So we have literally hundreds of haunted items here at the store.
The second part to that question, Barry, is, do you know how to dispel haunted energy from objects? Have you ever had to do that?
No, we haven't. We've been... I kind of like all my spirits, so we really haven't tried to get rid of them. I mean, that might seem strange, but we've got some great spirits here at the store. I mean, our kid goes and everything. I'll probably try to help some of them move on when I move on, but no, we haven't really done any exorcisms or anything like that here on items.
Have you ever had a spirit then in your store that you just were like, I got to get this one out, this one's causing too much havoc?
No. They play with us. They play tricks on us. They turn lights on and off, lock doors. But I always just enjoy it. I think it's a great thing. I mean, it might bother some people, but Connie and I they're our buddies.
What was Connie saying there?
Oh, Connie's trying to point out to me, we keep rock salt and Himalayan salt is very good stuff. So we have salt on our desk, and we do little things to make sure that bad stuff doesn't come around. But I really think that the ghosts look out for us, that they don't let anything happen to us. I mean, for as many spirits as I've talked to, seen, you would think we've had some bad situations, but we honestly haven't.
I pray every day and ask the Lord to protect us from any negative or evil energies.
Got you.
I think that helps.
Have you ever tried to play any games with them? Maybe set out a deck of cards like you're playing a hand of blackjack or something, or, a hide-and-seek type game where maybe you hide an object and they put it on the counter for you in the morning. Anything like that?
Well, they've made stuff disappear for her. I mean, we had probably the wildest one just took place. We were, when I was writing my first book about the Battle of Gettysburg, we had an apartment over in Gettysburg because I wanted to live in a haunted apartment as I was writing the book, and it was really haunted. There was no question about that. But while we lived there, I had bought Connie an antique diamond watch, and she kept it in this special bag all the time over there, and all of a sudden she noticed that the watch was gone. And we had no idea when or anything, and we had housekeeping, so we figured that the housekeepers had come in and helped themselves to her watch. But, without proof or anything, I never mentioned it to it. And that's over 3 years ago. A couple weeks ago, we're back over in our apartment here in New Oxford, and Connie is looking in this bag where she keeps her bracelets, and she had probably been in this bag 50, 100 times since the watch had disappeared. And all of a sudden, here in this bag is her watch. And there is no way in God's earth that watch could have been in that bag for that 3-year period, because she's continuously in and out of it, selecting her bracelets. So somehow or other, they had taken that watch and replaced it after about 3 years in this bag. So yeah, they do that. I had another instance where my jewelry display, I had this opal pendant, and it was on a pendant pad on a chain without a swivel bail. And I started to put the display out, and I looked, and the pendant was on the display backwards. And in order to straighten it out, I had to unsnap the chains and reverse it and put it back on the pad. I went, how in the hell could something like that happen? Next morning, I pulled it out, and it was backwards again. They had reversed that pendant for me 2 days in a row. And we see tons of things. I've physically watched them throw light switches here at the store. I've watched them lock doors behind me. They have an amazing ability, and they enjoy playing tricks. They have the same personalities on the other side that they had when they were on this side. If they enjoyed themselves and played over here, they're going to enjoy themselves and play on the other side just the same.
Gail has a question in the SOR Space Travelers for you, and she is asking, you mentioned earlier in the first half hour that you have channeled Who Killed Kennedy. Are you able to give us a little snippet of that for Gail and our listeners?
Well, first of all, it wasn't Oswald. That's for sure. There were actually 5 shooters assigned. The kill shot came from the 6th floor, from the roof of the building over top of the 6th floor of the book depository. I'm trying to think of the shooter's name. Don't ever get old, David. You can't recall stuff like this. Crap. I can't pull his name out right now. But the book that's coming out, we do list all the shooters, and Lyndon Johnson was behind the assassination.
George Bush Sr. was part of the CIA at that point. Was he involved in that as well?
Maybe.
That's a book question. Get the book. That's again.
Also, one's going to get my ass shot, so I'm saying maybe.
Well, you know what? Never mind. We could sit here and say, well, you got to buy the book. You got to buy the book. But on the flip side, there is a serious connotation to giving out information like that, because let's say you are 100% accurate by what went on. They are not going to, or they may come and question how you got your information. And that's not a healthy situation sometimes.
No, I asked him one time of Moo, I said, Moo, man, you're giving me stuff. Are you going to get my ass shot? And he said, no, I try to dumb down the information for your safety. So the information's there, but I try to be very careful with what I put out.
One quick question before we go to break. This comes from Trippin in the SOR, or in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Was Kennedy Jr.'s plane hit by a missile?
No.
Was it actually just engine failure or electronics failure?
There was let's just say that I also write about his death in that same chapter.
Will do.
Which tells you it was not an accident.
I think that's what everybody's looking at. Was it an accident or not? I guess not.
It wasn't an accident, no.
On that note, we are going to go to our break here at the top of the hour. Hour number 1 is complete. Our guest tonight is Barry Strohm. He's an author extraordinaire. He's a channeler of an ET being named Moo, M-O-U. He's also taking part in next weekend's Alien Cosmic Expo, June 24th through 26th in Brantford, Ontario. We're going to get into Moo, disclosure, ET abductions, right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio on the Spreaker.com network.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantids, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mullet, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And we give it up to you guys, all the listeners, and the live listeners usually get something special and hang out in the chat room. And we love to have you. So we'll see you every Saturday night at 8 p.m. You know where.
If you're a fan of social media, you can follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where our archives are stored, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight for hour number 2. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening in on the SHR Media Network, over on Paranormal Forum, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, and on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, Forest Moon Paranormal, as well as our flagship SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you with us tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, we round out the week with Don Allison. He is the author and a paranormal investigator. I love it when skeptics come around, especially former journalists. It's always a good time. We're going to talk about paranormal journalism tomorrow night on the show. Reminder, you can follow us on social media on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Instagram a shot, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to it, is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. It's going to have a brand new look coming up very, very soon. I'm hoping by Monday. Tonight we are talking with Barry Strohm, author extraordinaire, channeler, and ET experiencer, if we can call him that. Barry, welcome back.
Well, I'm still here. Just me and my ghosts.
Absolutely. I do have a question from Galen in the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. In your opinion, Barry, what is the difference between a channeler and an experiencer?
Not much. There's many different ways to experience. Just like Connie and I are both abductees, but in many instances, sometimes abductions are what experiencers think they are, and sometimes abductions take place and you absolutely have no clue that it's taken place. We've done an awful lot of research into abductions, and I'm not really sure what the difference between an abductee and an experiencer is. We experience it in many different ways. I mean, I have seen a real alien. I've been abducted. Connie's been abducted. I talk to them on channeling boards. So we experience in many different ways, and find it's all good. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy it. Even when I had a real alien reptilian about 10 feet away from me, and because of my knowledge, I looked at him and shown absolutely no fear of it, and it was I find it as a very positive experience. And because I can control my emotions, they show us more and more. So it's like a pyramid that builds. If you can be emotionally prepared and enjoy what you're doing and learn from it, they will continue to show you things that they don't show other people. They're not going to waste their time if you're not ready to see it. So I'm not sure if that answered his question, but we are multiple experiencers by any definition.
When you started having your personal experiences with extraterrestrials, did you look into the theories behind why they happen?
Yes. Actually, my idea of looking into a theory is asking Moo what in the hell's going on. Yeah, but he so much as told me it was a test to see if I could control my fear or not, so that they could show me more things. If you become emotional and fearful, then you're not learning. So your emotional control is part of your learning process.
There's a lot of people out there who believe they are experts in the topic of ET abductions. Say someone like Dr. Jacobs' theories. I don't know if you've heard of him or not. But when you hear people speak about their quote-unquote expertise on what is happening, why it is happening, what is your thoughts on that?
Well, abductions have changed through the years. The rules have changed. A lot of it, I can't say that they didn't go through the experiences that they lived, because things change. Different types of aliens conduct different types of abductions. The one point that Moo is trying to make with me now is that the abductions are actually a very good thing, and that they're learning experiences. They don't even want us to refer to them as abductions anymore in our sessions. When I asked him what term he would like us to use, he said cooperation. So I never get involved with another person's experiences. They could be true, they could not be true. All I can tell you is the information that I am given and the experiences that we've lived through. And what happens to others, and it can be good, and I would see how people could consider it a very bad experience, depending on the tests and things that they went through. Because rules have changed.
When you mention rules have changed, I think a lot of people would say to them, as they try and process that's very vague. And I'm not trying to say that insultingly. What I'm trying to do is ask, what do you mean by the rules? And what were they compared to what they are now?
The rules, alien visitations are controlled by a committee that basically rules our galaxy and beyond. I refer to space visitors much like we would go to a zoo and watch animals. They have been coming here since the beginning of our time. They have guided us in our own evolutions. There's been different types of humanoid beings that some made it, some didn't. We've been around for billions of years. Our soul energy probably actually predates Earth, and we've lived probably millions of lifetimes. In the 1940s, the rules were different. They actually allowed DNA testing at that time. And we're told that much of the autism problems that we have today came from DNA testing back in the 1940s. Moo says that type of testing is no longer allowed because they've realized of the bad effects of it. He refers to abductions as learning situations for us. I did a session. I knew that I was going to be back on your show again. So I figured the abduction thing was going to come up. So I actually conducted a session with him where I asked him a bunch of questions about abductions. And he caught me off guard with it. This was the first time that I realized that they don't even like to use the word abduction. So I'm going to actually read the transcript, because since I did this with the anticipation of reading it on your show, I'm going to take the liberty of reading it. I started off by asking him how long aliens have been abducting humans. He comes back and says, abducting is your term. And then he says, aliens have been among and with for your eternity. I asked him if more than one type of aliens conduct abductions. His answer was many kinds. What type of aliens conduct the most? His answer was, well, you work with. And then I say, since Moo's a blue alien, I came back and I said, are you saying the blues conduct the most abductions? He says, we don't measure. It's a blending of consciousness. And on this particular evening, I had Donna on the board and Connie was taking notes. And Donna picks up a mental message from him. And she says to me, I'm hearing that he doesn't like to use the term abductions. So I come out and I say, Moo, are you saying that you want us to use another term for abductions? And he wants us to use the term cooperation. And then Connie'd been abducted several times, so I threw out the question, what happened when Connie was abducted? And his answer was, Connie agrees at her higher self. So her higher soul level is in total agreement with the learning process of the abduction process. And I knew that she had been abducted multiple times. One time she actually went on a visit, I knew there were more. So I said, well, what happened at her second visit? His answer was, while sleeping, and we prefer to call it teaching. So once again, he doesn't want to use that abduction term. He wants to use it as a teaching time. I said, well, then, have there been other teaching events? He goes, multiple. You all are being taught, not abducted, to use your terms. Do not be frightened, as your word abduction suggests. And then I said, should we think of it as attending classes? His answer was, many are being taught. What is the length of a class? His answer was, a lifetime. I said, well, how many times has Connie been abducted? And he said, throughout her life. How many sessions have I had? He answers, as many. And then I ask, has my body been taken anywhere else? And he says, no, we do not take in your case. And then I go, how do we obtain higher levels of consciousness? You do currently utilize, but are limited in your recall for the sake of accomplishing what you are here in this human experience for. This is why you're taught while you sleep. The information is placed in your brain. Then I said, can you clarify brain versus consciousness? And he said, for the sake of simplifying, yes, in part your brain helps you with human functions. This other we speak of comes from a different place within your consciousness or energy. One, in the sense, differ from what you use in the form of brain logic, much like when you use this board to access a higher self. So I thought that was a very, very interesting session that we had, and I thought that you and your listeners might enjoy hearing it, because they refer to abductions as a cooperative learning session. And most of the time when you're being abducted, you have no idea, because they're doing it while you're asleep and they're placing this information in your mind. I know I wake up with information that I have no idea where it came from, but I'm starting to get a little more of an understanding of it.
That's pretty amazing.
I said, I hope I didn't put everybody to sleep with that one.
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, you lit up the questions board. So we're going to get to some questions for you right after this. And we'll start off with Eric in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. And he says, Barry, does being excited about the contact bother the ETs? Because he doesn't think it would scare him, but would get him excited in a good way.
They led me along a very slow process. It's a very exciting thing to see the real deal and to be able to converse with them. Some people can do it. I think that they clearly test people. I think the testing goes on, and the individual never ever understands what's happening to him. And I think if your soul is capable of taking the march and the learning process, that they do it. I know in my heart that my next lifetime back here is going to be very exciting and fun because I'll have learned so much in this lifetime. I'm not quite ready to leave yet, but I do think that the next trip is going to be even more exciting than this one.
We'll go to Lynn's question in Paranormal Forum. When you were taken, did you ever have regression therapy to remember?
We don't have to do regression therapy. We can do it right on our channeling board. All individuals carry with them their book of life in their minds. And we have the ability to have our guides access that book of life and give us the answers. Regression is one way of doing it because that book of life is in an unused portion of your mind. So hypnotically, they can regress and bring out that information. But we can accomplish the same thing with a channeling board and our guides.
Lynn has a follow-up question for you. Will the aliens help us with our current environmental crisis? Has Moo ever talked about that?
Oh, yeah. No, he's talked about it. And I'll read you another little sentence from I was trying to figure out what is going to happen in the future. And this was also in that same session. And I asked Moo, I said, how many years will it be until humans live peacefully together? His answer was that remains unknown. Will aliens intervene to end wars? No. What do the aliens want for the future of humans? Survival and evolution. Why do extraterrestrials want humans to advance? And his answer was, you choose to advance. How do we choose, I asked, and he said to rebuild. What do we have to rebuild? And he said, your species. Apparently, we've had earlier species of varieties of humans that have actually obtained more than we have in this, in this generational million years or whatever we look at. He has told me that the human soul energy has been here longer than Earth has been here. And that the beginning of the soul actually predates the Earth. Pretty interesting stuff. As I say, he's leading us into much more and more detailed information. A lot of it is I'm having trouble comprehending myself.
Let's get to Bill Cardwell's question in the SOR Space Travelers. Bill sets a nightly password for his show in the SOR Space Travelers room, so tonight's password is Necromancer. Necromancer is the SOR Space Travelers password. First chance we've had a chance to get to that. But Bill's question for you, Barry, is this. Can Moo tell the future for us here or on Earth, or is that something out of reach?
No. He in some areas he will, in some areas he won't. He'll never tell me, for instance, if I ask him what'll be the date of my death, he'll never answer that. He knows it, but he's not going to answer that. He will also not give me information that has the ability to change history. He will tell me about historical events because it's already taken place, and that won't have any effect on the future. He's told us about natural disasters that have happened. If you go onto my website, spiritspredict.com, you'll see that I actually have a whole page of predictions that we've been given that have come true and future predictions that are currently outstanding. Sometimes they nail predictions, and sometimes it doesn't come true when they say, because on the other side they don't have any time. So it's very hard for them to really predict on the button when something's going to take place because of the lack of time over there. Time is a thing that humans have created here on our Earth.
Next question comes from James Borg. What is the background on who Moo is, and where does he come from?
Mu is a blue alien. He comes from a planet on the far wing of the Milky Way. It's named Rob, R-O-B-B-E. His planet is the size of Jupiter. It has 2 suns. It has 8 moons. On his planet, the average lifespan is about 950 of our years. They don't actually become an adult until they're 300 years old. He stands about 9.5 foot tall. He's thin. He has large eyes and a bluish skin. He has small ears, has a small nose. He has a big mouth. They have a ratio on his planet of approximately 5 females to 1 male. His total planet population is about 30 million. And they worship the same God that we do on his planet. So that's a little bit about his background.
Have you ever had an artist rendering of Mu from the description that Mu has given you to see what he looks like?
No, I was going to, but kind of never got around to it.
Is that something that interests you in possibly doing?
Well, I can see him, so I guess I could do a portrait. He has the strangest part of his feature is that he has 2 hands like we have, but his feet are actually another set of hands. So when you see him, he moves around actually on a set of hands instead of a set of feet.
That's funny because that's almost the same description Samantha Mowat, our resident ET contactee, who does this show the second Tuesday of every month, had also mentioned about the Pleiadians as well.
Pleiadians are different. The Pleiadians have probably done more interbreeding with the human race than other alien types. I actually know some people that are Pleiadian in background. So there's a lot of them around.
Have you ever asked Mu how many ET species have visited Earth?
I am actually working on that in a chapter where he is describing different alien types for me. But I've never specifically asked. I'm not sure he even knows because there's so many of them. I asked him one time how many different types there were, and his answer was that he has friends on 12 different planets. So there's a lot we've never heard of.
What is his take on the possibility that we are drawing closer to disclosure?
I also, in anticipation of your show, and did a little bit of a session on disclosure with him. I asked him, I said, when will aliens insist on full disclosure? His answer was never. I said, why? He said it's not necessary. And then I went, will it be automatically? Will it be automatic? And his answer was, it is happening. And I said, is what I'm doing part of the disclosure process? Yes. Is what I'm doing helping? Yes. Can I do more? His answer was, there will always be fear and doubt. Will there ever be a time that aliens will walk among us openly? His answer was, not foreseen. What will be the first country to disclose the extraterrestrial presence? His answer was, it'll be European. And when I tied him down, he said Belgium. So this is how disclosure will be taking place. It'll be a slow process. They'll be spoon feeding us. Those of us who are ready for the information will be given it. It will take place, and it'll just be a natural process.
That surprises me that it's Belgium, because there's so much pressure on the United States to spill the beans on this, and it also coincides with what Victor Vigiani and I talked about on June 2nd, when it was literally about it doesn't have to be a world superpower to mention it. It could be Canada, and I believe we even brought up Belgium or Spain's name that night, or Portugal's name, somewhere where a neutral type country in this field would be the ones who actually propose disclosure. And he said that a country like Canada or like that would be the perfect country because they have nothing to hide. They have nothing to lose. They have nothing to gain from it. So,
well, there's another way you might want to look at it. The superpowers do engage with the Alien Commission and are under treaty. So a country like Russia, United States are much more heavily involved in interaction and are probably closer tied to the treaty. So a country like Belgium probably doesn't have active intervention with the aliens on their own, so would probably not be under as much of the rule of the treaty as some of the major countries.
Are you surprised that it was a country like Belgium and maybe not someone away from so much of the political game like the Pope would be?
No, it doesn't surprise me because, I mean, we've seen like Rendlesham Forest. That event was so obvious and was seen by so many people that the Brits really had to jump through their ass to keep it a secret. And, I mean, it almost got out right there because so many people saw the thing. So it doesn't surprise me. The superpowers, I think, exert an awful lot more pressure to keep the secret than the smaller countries would.
Is it getting to the point with Moo where maybe some of these ETs are getting frustrated with the way we have approached the subject of life off of this planet?
No, I don't think. I think this is the plan. I think that it's got to be a slowly evolving process because, you know, what he said, that many people will fear. And it's, you know, there's always, his exact statement was, there will always be fear and doubt among some of the people. So it's got to be a slow learning process, and they've got to bring everyone along.
And that makes sense. We're going to get more into disclosure with Barry Strohm tonight, our guest, as he is taking part in the Alien Cosmic Expo coming up next week, June 24th through 26th in Brantford, Ontario. You can get your tickets, travel up there, go to their website, aliencosmicexpo.com. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back after this break.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Would you like to expand your clientele? Have you ever thought of online radio advertising? Check out spacedoutradio.com to get your name out there. Our listeners support those who advertise with us, so why not give it a try? We have the most competitive advertising prices out there. Just click on the advertising tab on spacedoutradio.com and contact us today.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up, enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. A pleasure for you to be with us if you're listening in on the SHR Media Network over on Paranormal Forum, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker and on Facebook, at Euphoria Chronicles, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship, Spaced Out Radio SOR Space Travelers chat room. Highly suggest if you're a fan of the show and you're on Facebook, sign up for that. Join in for our nightly chat. Tomorrow night on the show, we'll be stepping back into the paranormal, going from journalist to paranormal researcher. Don Allison will talk about his book tomorrow night on the program. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. That's where we put our archives. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight, once again, for the final time, we bring in Barry Strohm. He is taking part in the Alien Cosmic Expo next week in Brantford, Ontario. You can go to their website, aliencosmicexpo.com, to learn more about the incredible speakers that will be up in Ontario, talking about experiences, talking about disclosure. It's going to be a great chat indeed. Barry, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Always a pleasure to have you on the air.
Well, thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
We are going to start off with a couple of questions from our audience before we get more into the disclosure aspect of the Alien Conference Expo. And this is from Lynn in Paranormal Forum. Lynn is asking, Barry, how do you know that you can trust Moo's judgment?
Mainly by the sheer bulk of information that he's given us. What he's told us has stood the test of time. His predictions have pretty much come true when he says they're going to come true. And from the information he's given, I have little reason to doubt him. If anybody that reads my current book, Aliens Among Us, Exploring Past and Present, we'll read his actual words, and we'll look at the answers that he gives to a lot of the problems that we face, and they all make sense. Every once in a while, we'll get a spirit will come in and we'll get answers that don't make sense. But Moo is very logical. If you go through I have pages upon pages of transcripts that we've done in conversation with him. I make a special point of keeping video and audio records of every one of our sessions. So I will go in and I will type every transcript. I'll make sure that I have the words correct off the videos. I will compare. Sometimes I will question him in different ways on different nights about subjects. And I will go back and I'll group all the same information on a topic together for a chapter. And I'm continuously trying to analyze what he tells me. I have no reason to doubt a lot of the things that he says. A lot of the things that he tells me, I have a very, very hard time believing. And he will often say that you're incapable of understanding what I'm trying to tell you. The human mind is very narrow and it's restricted to 5 senses. And we just do not access enough dimensions to understand everything what they're trying to speak to us about. But when I look at the sheer bulk of information that he's given us, I cannot find any problems with what he tells me.
A follow-up question from Lynn in Paranormal Forum. Has Moo ever told you, or does he know what happened to Atlantis or Lemuria?
Yes. Atlantis had a very advanced type of energy system. And they actually had the equivalent of a meltdown that destroyed, that killed most of the people, and then the oceans rose after the... But no, we have already discussed Atlantis. And I'm actually been told that in one of my priors I was there. So I don't know much about it. I haven't really pursued it, but it's apparently they had a technological problem that wiped them out.
We've also had people say that they were actually picked up and taken elsewhere in the universe. Has that ever been confirmed by you?
No, but that happens in a lot of situations, that they pick the souls up and take them away. An example of that would be Flight 19 that took place in 1945 in the Bermuda Triangle. Apparently they took those souls and put them in another place, another dimension.
Interesting indeed. When it comes to disclosure and what will be discussed here at the Alien Cosmic Expo next week from speakers who are more involved in the research than you and I are, from Stanton Friedman to Grant Cameron to Stephen Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group and his hashtag disclosure that went viral on Twitter, do you think it's coming down to a matter of time? Or does Moo believe it's coming down to a matter of time when disclosure on the human side, not the extraterrestrial side, will happen?
Yes. It's just a matter of time now. There's too much going on. Alien activities are increasing. The contact is increasing. The veil is coming down. More and more people are able to make spirit contact now. There's just so much going on. Disclosure is inevitable. It's just a matter of time.
And we talked about you believing, or Moo believing, that Belgium will be the one who discloses on this. Do you think there is pressure, or has Moo talked about the pressures that if Hillary Clinton gets into the White House, what she will face in regards to maybe the shadow government or top secrecy that the president is not allowed to know about in regards to her promise to John Podesta about disclosure, telling people what the Americans know about UFOs and what's going on at Area 51?
She doesn't have the ability to do that. She is closely tied into the treaty. And no matter what she says, she is not going to be in a position to do it.
So you think
I just see no way that's going to take place.
So you see it more as political rhetoric?
Absolutely.
Donna has an interesting question. She's a first-time listener in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Do you believe, or has Moo ever talked about some of these cryptids that are walking around Earth, like Dogman or Bigfoot, in regards to whether or not they're an earthly species or an extraterrestrial species?
Well, in my conspiracy book, I have a whole chapter on Bigfoot, and it's based on information he's given me about him, or them. They're definitely real. There's more of them than anybody would think. And they're an interdimensional being, and that's why we haven't seen any of them.
See, that's what I believe. That's what I totally believe. And if you've heard any of our Bigfoot shows, I've actually taken a little bit of heat for that in regards to my belief.
No, we asked him one time why bodies are never found, and he said that because they drag them back through the doorway. There are multi-dimensions that we are incapable of seeing. I asked him how many, and they wouldn't even answer it for me. He said that the dimensions blend together, and different species have the ability to be interdimensional. And Bigfoot is one of them, and that's why you've never seen him.
That makes sense to me, because I can tell you, shortly after I had my Bigfoot experience, we were doing a paranormal walk around a friend's house on their 10-acre property, and there were 4 of us, and we had this feeling like we were being followed. And at one point, right by the back of their house, they had this old cherry tree that stands about 30 feet high, and at the bottom left of it, from the ground up till about 8-10 feet, when I turned and looked, because of that feeling of being followed, we actually, 2 of the 4 of us actually saw pixelation on the side of this tree, like you know how they do on TV, where they pixelate someone's face or body, and that's what it looked like, except it was like 8 to 10 feet tall. And we continued walking after about 30 seconds, 40 seconds of looking at this pixelation, and we got to probably another 30, 40 feet when we heard the roar of the Bigfoot. And so that pixelation right there, combined with what a lot of First Nations / American Indians say about Bigfoot being a spiritual, interdimensional type being, it confirmed it for me. But, of course, we have to look at everything with a Caucasian Christian scientific background. You know what I'm saying? Well, we used to, yes. But no, we did a whole chat. We did a whole big session on Bigfoot. I have an entire chapter written about what he's told me on him in the book that'll be coming out in January. I have a question from Lynn again in Paranormal Forum. She's on fire tonight. I'm surprised.
Boy, she is wound.
Well, you know what? She's excited because this is her. She listens while she's at work, believe it or not, and she works on the East Coast overnight. And tonight is her final shift before retirement. So congratulations to you, Lynn, for finally getting to the end of your working career. But Lynn is asking, has Moo ever discussed about what we know about time travel?
Yes. He doesn't. He has told us that they have the ability to time travel to the future, but that it's very hard on their bodies. As you approach the speed of light, time starts to reverse. So time travel to the back side is really not that difficult. There are some absolute true stories of time travel that have taken place. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story of Bruce Gernan. 1970, he's flying from Andros to Miami in a Cessna with airplane with a top speed of 190 miles per hour. He enters this tunnel like cloud. There's a lot of thunderstorms, and he enters this cloud, and all of a sudden radar picks him up over Miami, and in order for him to have traversed that distance, he would have had to travel at 2,000 miles per hour. They had him on radar before he entered the cloud and afterwards. the guy burned like 29 gallons of fuel where he should have burned 80. And it's probably one of the greatest examples of absolute time travel that we've had. I did investigate what happened to him, and Moo told me that he entered a wormhole, and that wormholes are naturally occurring, especially in the triangle, and he tried to explain to me how it all takes place. But you can go online and research his story, and you will see that this is probably the greatest, most documented example of time travel we've ever seen. But he would have had to travel 2,000 miles per hour in a Cessna to duplicate the facts of the case. Very interesting situation.
I find it very interesting indeed. Has Moo ever told us whether or not the secret space programs or that we have, or these black operations, actually do have time travel working here on Earth?
Yeah. Well, time travel's taking place. I think the Philadelphia experiment was an example of time travel. I think there was some stuff took place with that Philadelphia experiment during World War II. But no, they're trying to conduct experiments at it, definitely.
Have you ever asked them about, some of these people who say they've time traveled and getting names specific, like Andrew Bashago, who says he was a child chrononaut, or somebody like Randy Kramer, who has been stationed up on Mars?
No. I would question about being stationed on Mars. I don't think there's a facility up there. There's a facility on the moon, but I'm not sure about Mars.
That's a question to ask you sometime.
Yeah, you make up a list of questions and email them to me. I'll check them out and let you know what the answers are.
You know what? We will do that. And let's plan for that in August.
Okay.
Let's plan for that in August, where I know our audience would love to get more questions in on Moo. So what I'll do, audience, here is if you're on Facebook, you can get to me directly or message me directly at Spaced Out Radio Show. That is our Facebook page. And put your questions for Moo in there, and we'll garner a list, and we'll send them off to Barry Strohm and Connie, and what we can do is have our questions answered from Moo for another program. I think that's a brilliant idea. Let's do that.
Yeah, give me the list, because the disadvantage of what we do is it's relatively slow, and we're on radio, so it's like watching grass grow on radio. But if you give me the questions ahead of time, I'll do a session and I'll run the questions by him, and we'll go through them and answer them for you.
I have a question from Trip in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Has Moo ever told you how many dimensions there actually are?
No, there's multiple dimensions, and he said that they all blend together, and that the definition that humans always want to have things measured, and sometimes you just simply can't measure them. But there's an entire blending. There's supposed to be like 8 levels on the other side. I think those are interdimensional. But no, I don't. He will not be definite about how many dimensions. And we actually discussed that a couple weeks ago.
Is Moo at liberty to say whether or not it will be the ETs that come down first and say we're here to the public, or will it be us who actually discloses?
I think it will be us that discloses. They're not. They're very aware of the fear of the average human in the different countries. I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be a gradual process. He told us that actually the radio show War of the Worlds was an experiment to see how disclosure would work. And it was a complete failure because everybody panicked off of it. There are so many people that cannot open their hearts and their minds to appreciate what's around them that it would just be an absolute complete shock to their systems if they ever had the least clue of what was happening. So, no, there's so much going on around. It'll be a slow process. I don't think it's going to be like Independence Day where the mothership appears overhead. We have motherships overhead, but they're keeping them transparent to us.
Are they here every day?
Absolutely.
Do they take the same people? Like, do they have a list of people that they have on their research list or whatever kind of list it could be where they stay in touch, or do sometimes they look for new specimens?
Both. Most people will be tracked through multiple lifetimes. We were told that our we have an alien as a great-grandparent. Both Connie and I do. So they're going to try to track that bloodline and that DNA test, and they will do DNA testing through multiple lives. So if you're on the testing program, you're not going to get off of it. And I think when you're on the other side, it's all discussed and laid out for your future life plan. Some are more aware of it than others when they get here. Some have higher frequencies. But it's my opinion that it's a long-term process of study, and they're trying to help future evolution. They want us to generate to the point where we stop killing each other and that we understand and we can communicate and love each other and move on. The advanced cultures do not have violence. There's no such thing as killing people on Moo's planet. They communicate telepathically. We are so far behind the other cultures that it's going to just be a huge evolution process, and they will help it take place, but it will have to take place slowly. David?
Yeah, Barry. Do you think the public is ready for that? What is your personal opinion in what you have learned?
I think a very small portion of the public is ready for it. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready for it. But as we evolve, a larger percentage, as we reincarnate and come back and build on what we've learned, I think the percentage of people being ready will increase, and at some point we'll be able to enter the world of the advanced cultures and participate with all the other beings that are out there.
I think there are a lot more believers than the general public would like to believe.
I agree with what Connie is saying, and if you didn't hear what she says there are a lot more general believers in the public than we would like to probably believe. I guess my big concern with disclosure, and I've said this over the last couple of nights, is I look at the way Hollywood has portrayed extraterrestrials. I look at the way video games has portrayed extraterrestrials. You hear about these side deals, technology for humans in regards to abduction with some of the crueler type species of ETs. And then you look at our violent history. It doesn't matter what country you're in, we have a very violent history. And when you combine that with religion that says anything that comes out of the sky that doesn't look like God or doesn't look like Jesus is demonic, satanic, we've pretty much set ourselves up for a lot of people on this planet, I will say billions, for not agreeing that aliens are here to help or have always been here. What is your opinion on that, Bear?
We actually had a customer in here a few weeks ago, and when they saw Barry's alien book, they said, aliens are all evil. And I said, I didn't bother arguing with him because I could tell his mind was made up.
No, one of the biggest deterrents to disclosure is religion. It's very hard to have an alien presence that is accepted in the church. I mean, when we've actually channeled with some of the early saints, and we are told that Jesus actually taught of an alien presence to his disciples, but he didn't feel that the average person was capable of understanding it. I mean, we've been told that there was actually a gospel of Jesus where he wrote of reincarnation and he wrote of alien presence. After all, who would be better? who would be better equipped to understand alien presence than Jesus himself? It's all part of the plan. It's just a matter of trying to work things out, I guess. Disclosures. It's moving along. I mean, we're seeing more and more people writing books about it, more and more people talking about it. The internet lets us go onto all the different groups that have an interest in UFOs. You know, I'm a member of a lot of UFO groups because I like to see what other people are thinking about it. And there's a lot of people out there, I think, that actually share our thoughts, probably more than anybody would imagine. But it's going to be a long process because those who don't believe really don't believe. There's a lot of fanatical opposition to the concept that that what we consider an alien presence is something that has been around since before humans. It's not exactly what appears in the Bible. Let's just put it like that. Even though there are biblical references. I have an entire chapter in my new book on biblical references to aliens. The ancients were well aware of an alien presence, probably more than we are.
Makes sense. Barry, I want to say thank you to you, Connie, and Moo for coming into Spaced Out Radio tonight and have just the best of time up at Brantford, Ontario, taking part in next weekend's Alien Cosmic Expo, June 24th through the 26th. The public is invited to get tickets for that event, and it will be one hell of a show. Have a great time north of the border. Enjoy the beer. If you're allowed a good beer, enjoy the beer.
Does Canada have good vodka?
Yes. Yes,
excellent.
But you have to find it, and it usually comes from Russia. But the whiskey is good.
On its own.
The whiskey is good. The whiskey is good. I can tell you that.
I am going to test it.
Absolutely. Have a great time. Thank you so much. And I will be in touch with you about bringing you back on the show with questions for Moo in August. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Just let me know. I'm always present for you.
Absolutely. That's Barry Strohm. You can find any of his books on Amazon.com. He is part of our Alien Cosmic Expo series, taking part next week on June 22nd through the 24th. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. The final hour coming up with the wonderfully talented Corrine DeWinter from PurplePlates.com. She will be joining me next.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Appreciate you taking in the show tonight. If you are listening in on the SHR Media Network, over on Spreaker at the Spaced Out Radio chat room, and on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, Forest Moon Paranormal, our flagship chat room, which is the SOR Space Travelers, and online at Paranormal Forum. We appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, we will be joined by Don Allison. This is a journalist who has had numerous paranormal experiences after being a skeptic for the first 50 years in his life, and he wrote a really good book on it. We will get into that tomorrow night as well. If you want to follow us on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio, give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I could be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. It's going to have a brand new look. Part of that look will be Corrine DeWinter, as she is our newest team member here on Spaced Out Radio. And Corrine comes in on a couple of different variations. She is one of our sponsors from purpleplates.com. She is also a member of our panel for the SOR Roundtable that we do on the final Friday of the month. And now, what we started doing this past week, or last week actually, was when we have a guest that can only stay for a couple of hours, Corrine is now going to fill in and co-host with me for the final hour of the show. The topics are open to you if you want to set a topic or have some questions like you do for a normal guest, except we accept a whole variation of questions. So we welcome in Corrine DeWinter into Spaced Out Radio Land. How are you?
Okay, Dave. How are you?
I am doing great tonight. It is one of the big things that I love about this show is talking about disclosure. And you know what? I know with every guest, Corrine, we end up asking the same questions over and over again. But the one thing that I'm always surprised about is how differing the opinions are. Like, for instance, tonight with Barry Strohm, he believes that through the channeling sessions he's had with an ET spirit named Moo, that a country like Belgium will be the first one to actually admit to full-on disclosure, and not a powerhouse like the United States. We hear people come on this show, like Stephen Bassett, who will be on next week, who says the United States has to be the one who discloses because we are the biggest superpower on the planet. Then we have someone like Victor Vigiani who said, no, it doesn't have to be the United States. It could be a smaller country or a non-power country like Canada or Belgium or Brazil or someone along those lines to actually come out with disclosure first, which sets in motion for the rest of the world to do so. When you hear all these different ideas and answers to this, do you think we're anywhere closer to solving this riddle?
I think that Barry had a good point in saying that a small country like Belgium would disclose first. Because, first of all, they don't really have much to lose. The United States, however, I know you're in Canada as well, kind of like a more powerful, more shallow type of society. I think, honestly, Dave, I feel like disclosure is probably further off than we think it is right now. Hopefully not, but I'm a little bit leery, but I agree with Barry that it would be a smaller country that perhaps people might overlook. And like Eric says in the chat room, Liechtenstein will be the disclosure country. Laugh out loud. But he might be right. That's the smallest, I think one of the smallest countries there is Liechtenstein. But anyways, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm every answer that we hear from these professionals, these investigators, they have good points, but I'm still baffled by the whole thing.
But do you believe, though, that anybody would pay attention to a Belgium or a Liechtenstein or a Luxembourg or one of these smaller countries? Do you think that we'd pay attention? Because we're so focused on what happens with the Big Four being the United States, Russia, Great Britain, and China. And if you want to add a 4A, you go to, Rome, or, Vatican City, where the Pope is, and I'm just not sure that we would take any of these smaller countries very seriously if they come out. We've already had countries come out and say, look, this is what we know about our UFO files. This is what we know about flying saucers and black triangles and little men with big black eyes running around. And it's always been kind of swept under the rug. So would we take it seriously?
Right. I hear you on that point. However, as I previously said on the show here, that whoever discloses the UFO reality, there's a big responsibility with that. And you mentioned something recently also that I said, that you brought up, I can't remember what it was, but I said to you, that would be one of the things that the U.S. would do to gain more power. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch, but I do see them using aliens like they're using Muslims and the terrorists and all that to implement certain rules and laws. So aliens would be a perfect thing for them to use. And that's the only reason I think it would be disclosed by the U.S.
Well, you know what? That is a very good point. A very good point indeed. But Hollywood, along with video games, has already done a great job of telling people what to think about aliens. Would you agree with that?
Yes, however, it's Hollywood. It's make-believe. So they can do that. Like comedians can crack on politicians without getting into any trouble, so to speak. So that's Hollywood.
Do you buy into it then, Corrine, as someone who keeps an eye on this subject from a spiritual level, that this is finally necessary, that we need to let the cat out of the bag, or do you still think we are years and possibly decades away from this?
Honestly, personally, I think that we are, as a society, at least in America, are not ready for it. I'm ready for it. I think most of the population is not ready for it. What do you think about Canadians?
You know what? I am scared. I'm going to classify this as North American, if you don't mind. There is still a large religious contingent, whether or not, more so in the United States than here in Canada, as Canada is really turning into a very strong agnostic country the more and more we become multicultural. And I'm not sure the religious people are ready for it. I think the way they have been taught to demonize anything outside of Jesus and angels appearing, and that's not a bad thing, okay? But I think that they have been told that anything else would be demonic or satanic, so I think it would cause a big scare in them. It worries me about the Christian side that is also gun-toting, because there's going to be a lot of worry. I think there's going to be the conspiratorial crowd that absolutely loses their minds, even though they expected it to happen. There is always that anarchy that goes along with it, because everybody's going to be saying that we got to arm up, we got to store our food, we have to, we have to take them out. They're here to get us. They're here to eat us. They're here to make us slaves. Well, my answer to that would be they would have already, since we already know they're here. So I just think there is too much negative going along with it, and it would take a good generation or two to calm people down, wait for the older generations to die off. People say 60 and above, wait for them to die off. Unfortunately, I hate talking like that because my parents are in that group. But you would have to build it up over generations, which could take 30, 40 years. Right? And I honestly believe that it's not going to be easy. I don't think the public is ready. I blame the media for that, because they will never take any of these topics seriously, whether it's radio, print, television, or now on social media. The mainstream is too worried about the almighty dollar. Do I have my home with a picket fence? Do I have my 2 dogs, 1 cat, my 2 vehicles, my camper, my boat, my ATVs, and my Sunday football? We're too individualized, and I think we are too secular individually now to accept that there could be something going on out there, and it will absolutely ruin everything. It will ruin everybody's lives, one way or another. And I'm not sure we are ready for that without breaking in the public slowly but surely. But I do agree that it would have to start now. If Hillary's already talking about it in her presidential bid campaign, we have to start talking about it. That starts with the media, and that starts with people talking in general.
Right. I agree. Okay, so let's look at the popularity of your show. There's a reason people come here to listen to professionals, investigators of aliens, experiencers. There's a big reason for that. A large part of the population is very interested in it. However, it's a whole other story actually coming out with proof and, all this other, it's a whole other story. So I don't know, look at half the, I won't say half the population, but I'll say a percentage, probably 40 or 50, maybe 50%, do not even believe that we live on after we leave this world, this realm. So, how are they going to believe, how are they going to stretch and actually believe that aliens are among us and out there, interacting with us? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, that brings up a whole different conversation about why people are leaving religion. Because when you look at many of the Western civilized countries, and I read this stat the other day, most of Western Europe, Canada, Australia, the real civilized, let's face it, there's only about, out of the 200 and plus nations on this planet, there's only about 50 or 60 that are truly civilized, up to date, with what is going on technologically and everything. And if you look at those countries, a lot of them are getting tired of the religious aspect of everything. And I'm not saying that I'm here to agree or disagree. I don't go to church. I am a believer in God. I have no problem saying that on this show. Okay, I'm allowed my belief just like everyone else is allowed their own belief. But as people start pushing religion away and start focusing on me, myself, and I, because we have become a 24-hour society, I think it does add to a list of the problems that is going on. Add to the fact that when you see how close-minded in today's society religion believes, we only have to look at what happened at that tragedy in Orlando at the nightclub to see how sick and vile some people are on this planet, by hailing the gunman for what he did. We're a long ways away. There's still way too much hatred, and when you look at the way people are reacting to that, I can see why people are pushing away from religion and focusing strictly on themselves and their families. And when you look at the way the world is, which is in today's social media looks more violent than it's ever been, even though statistically it's not. Would you look at that nobody trusts government anymore because of how many people are being paid off by corporations? When you look at the way people are being used at their job for working more hours for less money, we're tired. And a lot of people look at little things. Well, not little things, but you look at things like cancer. You look at things like AIDS. You look at other diseases, especially when it involves children. And people question, if there was a God, how would he allow cancer in a child? An innocent child. How would he allow a child to be beaten by his father or mother or murdered or worse? You know what I'm saying? There's so many questions that people have now that I really think religion has taken a backseat for a lot of people, number one, and number two, it doesn't even register with extraterrestrials because we're so focused on ourselves these days and looking down at our cell phones or notepads or iPads or whatever you want to look at that we don't have time anymore. We don't have time to focus on anything.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this. Do you think, though, as people engage these topics, in what you have seen in your time being in this field, which is a lot longer than me, because you're more spiritually adept than I am, do you see more people awakening at a quicker level?
You know what? I do. It's kind of amazing, actually. When you're saying people are shying away from religion, they're and they're kind of going back into themselves. That's where spirituality takes over. Your own spirituality, your own belief that you, in fact, are God. There is a God, I believe, but you are part of God. You have this power. So, I mean, people, yes, religion, it has caused so many problems over the years. Jesus, I mean, Lord. And this whole Orlando nightclub shooting is just, it's horrendous. It's freaking horrendous. but let's look at what we have inside ourselves. I always maintain that we are so much more powerful and full of every miraculous thing that can be in this universe right now, but we don't even know it. We have to remember ourselves again, so to speak. So, where do aliens fit in? I think that if you're at that place in your spirit, if you're in your own spirituality, that people are confronting you with aliens and the possibility and maybe some facts, you will be able to understand that and accept that and embrace it. If you are set in your own spirituality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, but not to turn this into a big religious or political debate, I still think that, there is a lot out there that we don't know, that we need to figure out, but the answers are so spread so thin, much like peanut butter on a piece of bread, that I don't know if a lot of people know which way is up anymore. And I'm not saying that in a negative connotation that, that we're screwed and we're hopeless or anything like that, because I think we're as smart as we have ever been. But it doesn't help the wary mind when you know that things are being held back, when you know that there are cures for diseases out there that are not being shared because healthy people is not a profitable people, when you know that religious leaders out there are sitting there saying, what are we going to do about our donations if everybody leaves us for extraterrestrials? There's a lot of things going on, and in the end, I'm really not sure if we are absolutely if we are ready for that at all.
Right. I honestly, like I said before, I don't think we are as a whole. I could be wrong, but I just don't think that it's going to be foisted upon anyone at this juncture, at least for a few years down the road. We're always going to be asking questions, Dave. We know a sliver of the truth. We see through, the lenses of the experiencers, and, people that have experienced aliens and gotten abducted, such as yourself. We see a sliver of what is reality, the reality of it, but there's so much more that we do not know. So we're going to continue learning. We're going to continue asking questions, and you're going to continue having people on your show. So, let's we just got to be patient and keep learning.
You've heard me passionately talk about on this show about the role of the media. Whether you trust the media or not isn't the question. But what do you think the media would have to change attitude-wise? And when I say media, I'm talking all forms: print, radio, social, television, in regards to disclosure. Do you think that they are doing enough right now, or taking these stories seriously enough right now, in order to start helping people realize that this is a possibility?
No. The media are just concerned with, that's Hollywood, okay? Every media source is like Hollywood. It's falsities. It's mostly bullshit. They put out there what people are going to accept and what interests them, the quick interest. Let me attract these people with this storyline. Do you think that the woman doing the news, who's dolled up and looking really pretty and sexy, and she's reporting the news, do you think she wants to ever say anything that's going to make her look bad or suspicious or crazy? And this is where we have to actually step back and say, who are we? And what are we doing here? You know, I mean, this is like opening another can of worms. But I mean, there's so much more that we don't even realize. And that's why, you know, the truth about aliens and other beings, many more other beings besides aliens, you know, looking at the existence or the possible existence of all these different beings and creatures and worlds. I mean, are we going to get there anytime soon? I don't think so. We've still got so much prejudice, so much hatred. I mean, you know, it's amazing that we even get along as well as we do.
No, it's true.
Planet, you know?
Joe has a serious question for you, Corrine, in the SOR Space Travelers, as he is trying to figure out what is making noise in the bushes behind his house. We're thinking bear or Bigfoot, by the way. It's one of those two, as he lives in the forests of the California-Nevada border. And he is asking, disclosure is important, but more importantly, Corrine, what are you wearing tonight? Because you are our resident fashionista.
Okay, so I'm wearing a sleeveless leopard print sweater, like light sweater, and black pants. That's what I'm wearing.
Well, you know what? It's all in fun. All in fun. On that note, we are going to hop out for a couple of minutes here. We are going to take our final break of the night. Final hour of Spaced Out Radio. We are joined by Corrine DeWinter from PurplePlates.com, Supernatural Radio on BTR, and a presenter on Spaced Out Radio as well at spacedoutradio.com. The new look coming soon. We'll be right back with the final half hour right after this.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from the Four Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us.
From the radio, commercials, to banners, to social media.
Have a product you'd like our host to endorse? We can do that too.
Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Missed most of tonight's show? Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and download our archives for free. And don't forget to get your Space Travelers membership today. Now, back to tonight's show. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. Final half hour of tonight's show. As we've rounded third, we're headed for home at the mighty SOR. We want to say thank you to everyone listening in on the SHR Media Network, over in Paranormal Forum, online at Spaced Out Radio Show on Spreaker. You can join the chat room there any night of the week. We thank everyone who is in there, especially Marie for joining us for the first time, James over in Paranormal Forum for joining us for the first time. Appreciate that. And on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship SOR Space Travelers. Good to have everybody with us tonight. We appreciate you taking out time out of your busy day to spend it with us. A reminder, you can follow us on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. On Instagram, we can be followed at Dave Scott SOR. Our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to that, is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. For the final hour tonight, we are joined by Corrine DeWinter, and she is from purpleplates.com. She is a contributor to this show, and she comes in, and we sit around and we banter for the last hour when we have a guest that will only be on for the first 2 hours. Corrine will be with us again tomorrow night for the final hour of the show. Corrine, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, you know.
Right.
You know, before the break, we were talking about the role of the media in regards to disclosure. And not so much the government side, the religious side, or anything like that. But you know what bothers me about the media? Because after working in a newsroom for 10 years, like I did, before I fired this baby up, after I so-called retired from radio until my own experiences sucked me back into it, the one thing that I do know is when people called our newsroom looking for questions about, has anybody reported something strange at this street? Maybe there was a paranormal experience, or anybody reporting any weird lights in the sky. The minute we got a phone call like that, we could not get that person off the phone quick enough, because in our minds it was another nut bar just wasting our time. And that's the reality of how the media works. I hate to say it, but that's the way it works in a newsroom. Doesn't matter if you're in the U.S. or in Canada. Reporters are fickle. They hate working. They hate having their time wasted. At the same time, they love going to what they call real news. What is it going to take, in your opinion, Corrine, to make these topics real news? Because we saw what John Podesta did when he started tweeting over a year ago about that he was upset after leaving Obama's office that he could not secure the disclosure of 2014 of the UFO files. He sets a promise to join Hillary's campaign only if she will declare what is out there on the UFO files and at Area 51. He was talking about it for months, granted a year, and previous to him coming out again. And the media dropped the ball. in my opinion. And you look at it, it's only been the last few weeks that the whole UFO side has been getting mainstream attention, and then all of a sudden it's disappeared again. It's like it's not even in the news. We're talking about, in my opinion, the second biggest story in mankind's history, next to Jesus Christ himself coming down from the heavens saying, "Hey, boys and girls, I'm back home." And yet, our media is doing nothing about it worldwide. What is your opinion on that?
I think that it really is going to take someone very famous to have an experience that they want to talk about. Because let's face it, if you're Madonna and you have an experience, or someone like Madonna, and you have an experience and you're willing to talk about it, people are going to listen. And they're probably, suppose you're Johnny Depp. They're going to listen and they're going to believe you. So I think that's what it might take.
But, okay, you take a guy like Dan Aykroyd, who has had major experience. He's, for a while there in the 80s and 90s, he was an A-lister in Hollywood. He's kind of fallen back on that side as he doesn't do much acting anymore. But you take someone like him who has come out, done specials in regards to UFOs, had visits from Men in Black. His father, I believe, was an RCMP officer up here in Canada, and Dan now lives in the Los Angeles, Hollywood area. You look at someone like him who has come out, or Shirley MacLaine who has come out. Look what Tom DeLonge, the lead singer of Blink-182, is doing now. And it's still not getting a lot of press or a lot of play.
All right, but they're not Madonna. They're not... No offense against those three stars, but I mean, someone really huge. You know what I mean? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, would it be somebody like, say, Prince William or Prince Harry?
Yes, actually. So let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of any other famous person getting abducted besides the ones you just mentioned?
No. I can honestly say no.
And that's kind of unusual, in my opinion. I don't know what the percentage of abductions are in the world. I don't know how many people are abducted a year. But it's a little odd, why? Or if they have been, maybe they just don't want to talk about it. I don't know.
I'm just not sure that the media gives it the time of day. I mean, here's a prime example. If we want to get into that, here's a prime example when Jimmy Kimmel had both Bill Clinton and Barack Obama on his show. And recently he had Hillary. Now, when a president goes on a talk show, the president already knows the questions. That's part of the agreement. We all know that. A president isn't going to get cold called and put on the spot like that. We can all agree that if you don't know that, then you've been hiding under a rock for a while. Can we agree on that, Corrine?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have somebody on late night, which commands a multi-million person audience from not just America but around the world, and you have Jimmy Kimmel asking about UFOs and aliens and Area 51, and you see the uncomfortability in Bill Clinton and the uncomfortability in Barack Obama answering those questions, even though they know it's coming on, and those questions are coming, and yet the media does nothing about it, doesn't even report on it. It's like, oh, there's just a side question from a comedian. It makes you question things. Why would the two presidents, one former and one current, allow that question to even come up? It's not necessary.
Right.
So, I'm just not sure. Okay? Or you look, when the Phoenix Lights happen. Trip in the Spaced Out Radio chat room brings this up. When the Phoenix Lights happen, the governor or the mayor of Phoenix, and maybe the governor of Arizona, calls a press conference, and they have someone dressed up as like a 6-foot gray coming in to the conference room in handcuffs. It's all about making fun of it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's ridiculous, really,
It is. It's frustrating, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Completely.
It's completely frustrating because every time someone has tried to come out and tried to explain what is going on or what they are experiencing, they're either shut up or they're ignored by the media, or maybe they are just called crazy. Or, I almost pertain it to, when you see all of these 70s and 80s stars trying to get that extra 15 minutes of fame by going on all these really bad reality TV shows. It almost reminds me of that, when you see Leif Garrett, going on Naked and Afraid or something along those lines, or Celebrity Jeopardy, or, you never get the stars from today, but, I don't know. That's going off on a whole different tangent.
What is Leif Garrett doing nowadays?
No idea. No idea. But I will say this. I just had something gross kind of happen. I just had a deer tick fall right on my computer. Yeah, those aren't good, Little Lyme disease bastard that they are, Sorry, but I just committed murder on the air of a deer tick. See, when you live up in the wilderness here, right, you deal with bugs. You deal with a lot of bugs.
Listen to this, Dave. Speaking of deer, so the other night I'm sitting here, and it's probably like, I don't know, 8:30 or something. It's still light out. I hear this braying like a horse, and I'm like, what the hell is that? So I go outside, and there's a deer standing there, right? Because I live in the woods, right? So I'm like, could that noise have come from the deer? So then later on in the night, it was about 1:30 in the morning, I'm reading in bed, and I hear that braying again. So I go look out my window, and it's the deer. And I'm like, what in the hell? I never heard that in my life. And it was so weird. And then yesterday, I heard it again, and I went out there and I took a picture of it. But it was so strange. Have you ever heard that?
You know what? I get deer through my yard every day. That's one of the benefits of living up north in the middle of nowhere. And I bait them. I'm not gonna lie. I bait them. I have a couple of salt licks for wild animals out there because I like the animals. Some of my neighbors may not agree, but I did it in private. They don't listen to the show. It's sad to say, but they don't. But I have heard some grunting from the deers, yes. And mostly it's at night. But do you ever get that feeling that, I don't know how close you are to wilderness or parks or anything, because I didn't know there was actually trees on the east coast of Massachusetts all the way down or up. But, that's how naive me as a West Coaster is. But when you live where I do, where wild animals, like, you have to make them a part of what you do on a daily basis. Like, I don't drive anywhere now without slowing down and using caution because, hell, I mean, every day on the highway you pass some sort of blood sport scene on the highway where a deer has been smoked by a semi-truck or, heaven forbid, a small car. But you look at it, and when you're that close to nature, you kind of get used to the sounds of what goes on. So this startled you.
Yes. I mean, I was like, at first I thought it was an owl, because we have a lot of owls too. But then I was like, what? No, it was almost like a human sound. I wish it would come by now so you could hear it, but it was just, and so loud. But I was like, man, I love nature. That's why I moved here, because it is in the forest. And I just love nature. You know, did I tell you I found a Luna moth?
Yes,
outside?
I saw that picture. A Luna
Yeah.
moth. That is beautiful.
I was so excited. I mean, but anyways, I just love nature, and I love looking at it and studying it and reading about it, and it's just so exciting to me. You know, I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? We get a lot of things that go on around here, and I'm going to try and sneak away on Father's Day, if I can, to go look for Bigfoot, because I just feel it's time. I have to, you know, get that itch that I need to scratch there. I'm wondering if I'm going to see something. I've got my intelligent look on right now. If you could see me right now, I've got my finger, my eyes kind of squinting, and my fingers are I'm leaning my head on my fingers, and I got that type look on my face right now.
Right.
You know, but anyhow, I'm going to look for Bigfoot. That's what it comes down to, and I don't know how we go from disclosure to Bigfoot so quickly, but that was interesting. That was interesting. Corrine, I get a lot of people when your name comes up, and I'm going to talk about one of your hot button topics right now, about what a purple plate is. Because everybody knows you in Spaced Out Radio Land as the Purple Plates lady.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you say everybody should have one, but a lot of people ask almost on a nightly basis, what are they? What do they do? So I'm going to give you the forum here to explain why Purple Plates, which is a sponsor of this show, so I am plugging, you know, why they are so important, and how can they help?
Okay, well, as one, you know, there's so many uses for purple plates. And as Marie said earlier in chat here, she had a headache. She used it for her headache. Her headache went away quicker than it normally would have. People use the plates for healing things, for clearing their food and water of all the residue from irradiation. You know, I mean, Vesna. Yes, Vesna. Thank you so much, Vesna. The purple plate is just, when I say expect a miracle, I am serious. I have had so many testimonials from people using the plates. You know, people are like, oh, it's just a placebo. No, it's not. There's scientific fact behind it. It is based on Nikola Tesla, which you all know who he is, on his theory of free energy. And that is energy that exists in the, put your whiskey on it, or beer. That is energy that exists in the world in certain places, like naturally, such as Palermo, Italy, by the way, and the Ganges River. Where else? I can't think of the other places. But anyways, so it is this energy, this universal energy. So the plates are tuned to this harmonic vibration. Once put into the plates, it remains in the plates indefinitely. I have customers that have been using the plates for over 40 years. Yeah, like Vesna says, she uses the plate for a wonderful night's sleep as well. And you will remember your dreams better, too. People have, you know, I have one guy, well, you know Peter Moon. He loves the plates. I have actually sold to a couple very famous people, which I'm not going to mention their names lately. They absolutely love the plates. I am very blessed to be able to bring these to people to facilitate this business of selling healing harmonic energy plates to people. And I always say, I don't try to talk anyone into buying a plate. All I ask is try one. If you don't find success with it, I will give you your money back, no questions asked. So you have nothing to lose by trying a plate. If you go to purpleplates.com, you can read all the different testimonials about people, the different uses, and how they found success with using the plates. I'm telling you. The plate, okay, so Eugene is asking, what are the plates made of? They are anodized aluminum, but it is not the aluminum nor the purple color that give it the energy that it has. For lack of a better term, they are charged with different frequencies, a bunch of different frequencies, so that when it enters the metal, the metal is put upon these frequencies, it has a healing harmonic vibration that lasts forever, as far as I can see. I mean, like I said, people have been using them for 40 years. The inventor, with the help of Tesla, was Ralph Bergstresser. And I was actually lucky enough to speak to Ralph through a medium that, my favorite medium in the whole entire world, Dave. I always talk about her. I was actually able to talk to him through Renee. And just ask me more questions, So, I can't say enough about them. I'm just so blessed to be able to do this, and to offer this to people. And people really credit the plate with helping them in so many different ways. There was a guy that was supposed to never walk again. He used the large plate in his hospital bed, walking again. I mean, there's a million different things I could tell you about them, but so anyway, it is a conductor. Yes, Eugene, a conductor. Yes. And
I think a lot of people are very curious about this because as we've grown, I mean, you and I, you're one of our original listeners, and I still don't know how you've stumbled upon the show, but how did you get introduced to the purple plates? How did you fall in love with this? And because your company seems to have really sprouted since we started going. I'm not taking credit for that or anything, but they're kind of running on parallel lines here. And a lot of people, because you're in here quite a bit chatting and listening into the show and now participating, have been asking, where do we get one? How do they work? Everything like that. Have you noticed a growth in people asking and starting to purchase them?
Well, I don't know, I should start to ask people where they've heard about it from. But, when they buy one. However, I began selling the plates when I actually ordered my first one from another company that is no longer in existence. I first read about the purple plates in Linda Goodman, the astrologer Linda Goodman, her book Star Signs. I loved Linda Goodman, still love her. She passed away in 1996, but she's phenomenal. So I read a whole chapter about the purple plates and star signs, and I was like, let me try one. So I tried it. It was phenomenal. I couldn't believe what it was actually doing for me. And I decided to, write an article for Fate magazine, which I'm sure your listeners have heard of, about purple plates. And at the time I wrote the article, I decided to start purpleplates.com and start selling them. So that's what I did. It'll be 16 years next month that I've been doing this. And I'm so grateful. And we've created new products such as Purple Energy cuffs, Purple Energy ankle cuffs and armbands, and bracelets. We've created those new products with the help of the inventor and his cohorts that are still living that I deal with. And so we created all these new products, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that I'm able to do this, really.
When you look at the plates, and I know we are going to be talking soon about putting them on the new coming Spaced Out Radio store, how come a product like this, Corrine, isn't or is very rarely found in the public? if it works that well, why is it so hard to find?
Well, it's not hard to find once you know what it is and where to find it. However, if you tell someone you use purple plates, they're going to react in the same way that if you said you saw an alien. They're going to say, what are you, purple plates? Are you crazy? So, I mean, it's got this sort of nebulous connotation of, well, that doesn't sound like, that sounds like a whole bunch of snake oil. But it does have a scientific basis and fact. And you can actually test the energy of the plates. And I can't remember who it was in the chat here. I think it was Eric Eric M, that said he was going to test it and put the results in a video or something. I think he said that. And you can test these with radionic equipment. You can test these with dowsing. You can test these with reflex technology, which is what a chiropractor should know, a good chiropractor, or a practitioner, holistic practitioner, or someone in that field. And so, I mean, you can see there is energy coming off of the plate, attracted to the plate. It will be a benefit to any living thing. People use the plates and they use the green thumb tube for their gardens. They put the green thumb tube into a gallon of water overnight, water their plants with that water, or you can put a gallon of water on a large plate overnight. That will do the same thing. And you're drinking living water, beneficial water, water that is putting into you harmony, healing, and getting rid of all the residue, like I said, and the irradiation that we get from all the stuff in the supermarket. So, I mean, Eric, I've taken a aura photo with the plates, but never Kirlian electrograph. No, that's interesting, though. That's very interesting.
This is way too scientific, above my budget.
And I'm not a scientist. Yeah, I'm not a scientist either. Believe me, I just play one on radio.
I know the feeling. It's amazing what you can hide while being on the radio. My dear, we only have about 1 minute left, and old Nick here, who showed up late in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, is like, what about my good night call, Dave? Well, you will have to wait, mainly because I don't have your number. But I'm going to be selling Spaced Out Radio night calls. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not going to be doing that. But one of the things that we are going to be doing is we are going to be garnering a lot more interest into what we are doing on the website. If you have any questions out there that you would, or things that you would like to see on the Spaced Out Radio website, the new look, let me know. You can do that by going on to our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show, sending a message. I will get it, and I will respond, so you can do that. And Corrine is going to be bringing the purple plates in to Spaced Out Radio Land as well, because we are going to be opening up a store, offering up some t-shirts, offering up some hats, and along the like. See what else we can get on there, including these really cool alien head candles that I have. And they are nicknamed Frank and Lucy. You'll have to see them. But we're going to do it all. Corrine, thank you for joining me tonight, and we get to do it all again tomorrow in the final hour of tomorrow night's show. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Sure. Thank you, Dave.
We'll talk to you very soon. Corrine, you hold on for a couple of minutes. I'm going to hit the Bumblefoot. It's time for our music master. There he is. Bumblefoot. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, the only rock band, in my opinion. Yes, I know the originals have enjoyed each other. I'm happy about that. But Mr. B, he's pretty cool. Check out his link at spacedoutradio.com. Tomorrow night on the show, author Dan Dawn Allison will join us. We're going to talk about how this journalist, who was a skeptic for 50-plus years, all of a sudden started having paranormal experiences, and now he's a believer. It's going to be interesting tomorrow night. And then the lovely Corrine DeWinter will join us in hour number 3 tomorrow night. I want to thank everyone for listening in on the SHR Media Network, over on the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, over on Paranormal Forum. Lynn, you were a trooper tonight, and congratulations on your retirement in just a few hours' time. You did well. Good job. There's a pat on the back from your Spaced Out Radio fans and team right here. And, of course, our fans listening in on Euphoria Chronicles on Facebook, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our special Elite Status SOR Space Travelers, our flagship chat room for this show on Facebook. Remember, you can follow us at Spaced Out Radio on Twitter, Spaced Out Radio Show on Facebook, same as on YouTube where we store our archives. On Instagram, Dave Scott SOR, and our website, which will have a brand new look very, very soon, spacedoutradio.com. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be back in exactly 21 hours from now, right now. I look forward to it because I enjoy hanging out with all of you. I hope you do too. Do me a favor, tell a friend. Here's Bumblefoot.
Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you.